I was there for 20 years, and for most of it, I was actually in a branch manager role.
That's great. So you're talking almost, what, 30 years of experience in the
Not that old.
When you're in business, when you're in sports, it's very important to know your competition as well. I've come to notice that there is a lot of misinformation. I worked at McDonald's when I was 15 years old, okay? When you have a team of 11 players that go onto the field, if one person doesn't do their job, the whole team is gonna fall apart. Nobody else pays the bills for you. You gotta pay the bills. So you gotta do the outmost for your family. They're scared of losing their people. And I've had these, the uplines of these people actually call me and specifically say, stop going after my people. These organizations that call us poachers, that's what they were built on. Every single one of these people were poached from other industries. I feel for her because she's been taken advantage of. And I can't stand that. I can't take that.
He probably felt pushed into getting this fantastic retirement on drugs plan. Hey there, welcome to our podcast where we talk about real financial problems with real people and we come up with real solutions. My name's Irene Meyer.
And I'm Villanueva. If Irene Meyer seems nervous today, it's because we have a special guest and I think she's intimidated, but I would like to introduce Dror David.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
Now, today our topic is different agencies, advisors, teams, and why that matters. This is something, if you've never experienced this industry before or dealt with an advisor before, it's a very interesting topic. Irene, what's your first take on this topic today?
Well, I'll tell you this, being experienced in a couple different organizations, that is a really big issue. And I don't know if people realize it, that when you're dealing with the financial industry, the brand that you're dealing with, the building you're dealing with is not as important as the person who's going to be sitting in front of you. And not everything is created equal. And I'm not talking about products. I'm talking about the person who's actually giving you the financial advice. And I can speak from experience, a lot of experience being involved as not just a manager of people at one organization and being a trainer and recruiter of another organization, that it really belongs to the trainer, the leader, where the quality of your financial service will actually rely on.
Now, before we go further with this, Irene, you're talking about your experience a little bit. So without specifically naming names of companies that you worked for or anything of that nature, can you elaborate more on how much experience we're talking about and kind of what areas of that experience it was in your past?
Yeah. So literally from when I got out of university, I joined a traditional bank. I was there for 20 years. And for most of it, I was actually in a branch manager role. So there's that. So I saw everything from opening accounts, investing money, dealing with lending, mortgages, and then of course, frontline dealing with money and the transactional part of it. I left there after 20 years, almost to the day, to join an organization, got my life license to be able to offer insurances as well, not to mention still dealing with all the other financial products. But this allowed me to build my own team, train my own team, but then also rely on the work I put into it. So I was no longer being paid a salary, but I was actually, what I put into it was, kind of what I got out of it. So two different environments where you're getting paid a salary to do a job and you're not getting paid a salary to do a job. You look at two of these things, which are pretty much the same. It's just the products that are different that you would probably be able to provide to clients that are going to be different. And then what I found was through that experience. So I'm still doing that, my own financial business, but I've recently joined a different organization, literally for the reason why we're talking today.
That's great. So you're talking almost 30 years of experience in the
not that old.
Well, 20 years. And how long have you been an independent agent yourself?
Independent, probably just coming on 6 years here.
6 years. So 26 years.
Correct.
You are that old, Irene. Just for the people out there, she is that old. She's just in denial, but that's okay.
Whatever. I am experienced. Yes, that's right.
There you go. So now, in what you're saying, that's great. So you're a life licensed agent, as are myself, and Dror has several different titles, but we'll get into that in a second. So with that industry, I want to elaborate a little bit more in the idea that there are different realms of that industry. There's something called captive agents, right, who are working specifically for a single institution and delivering their product. And then you have your brokers who kind of have free realm of things. and can broker out to the best interest of the client. One is going to be the best interest of the company, I think. That's going to be, again, specific to what you were saying, the agent himself, right? And then one that's going to be more tailored towards the client needs because they can broker it out amongst different providers, right? Now, interestingly enough, you'll have agencies in this industry that present themselves as brokers, but are actually captive within their own agency. So they are dealing with a lot of different providers, but they have full control of really how that agent is performing within the realm of that agency and how they use their providers. Right. So it's really, and a lot of times these agents may not even be aware of it, right? And that's something that's very, very important to understand because again, knowing the agencies, knowing the agent and the advisor is going to be very important on what's going to happen for you as the client, your future financial dream and goal, right? Now, Dror, you have a lot of experience in Irene has 6 years experience. I've got a little less than that, but you have quite a bit of experience in this industry. First off, if you could elaborate as to who you are for our audience members and go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's a real honor and now being in business with you guys, it's amazing. I think it's been almost 3 years that Irene and I were talking and then, just kind of back and forth. And it's a scary thing to move from one organization to another. I get it. We finally did it. So yeah, I've been in the financial services industry for almost 10 years now, and it's been a great ride. It's been a really great ride. Before this, I had nothing to do with finance. I thought a mutual fund was something you do with friends in high school. Like I literally had no idea. And it just comes to show how much of a lack of financial education and awareness we have, that at the time, a 29, 28-year-old kid doesn't know how money works. It's really, really scary out there. And it's just, it needs to change. So I got started in the industry, actually pretty much born and bred with Experior. And I started very part-time while I was at my other full-time job. And then I went full-time about a year later. And I just saw the potential and how much of a change we can make for people and how much of a change I can make for myself and my family as well. And, the guy who brought me into the business, he's a longtime family friend. He's known me since I was a baby. He's, my brother's friend. I don't even think he knew how good it would be and how much of a change we would make in people's lives and in our lives. It's really been an amazing ride. Over the years, over the past close to 10 years, I've come to know a lot of my competition because, when you're in business, when you're in sports, it's very important to know your competition as well so that you can continue bettering yourself. Not so that you can take them down, so you can continue bettering yourself because there's a lot to learn from your competition. And one of the things I love about our business is that, we learn from each other. So one of the things I learned is that, Phil, like you mentioned, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. A lot of brokers, run around out there, call themselves brokers and think that, they can offer every single product out there, and they really can't. And there's kind of two sides for it. There's a side where their mentors and their leaders are just not telling them. And there's another side where they just don't care to know more. And personally speaking, I love working with people that are, resourceful like yourselves. You explore, you ask, you're curious. You're consistently curious about what's happening in the market, what's happening in our company, and what's happening in our industry as well. I'm one of the senior leaders now. I'm a senior executive director. I'm also a shareholder in the company as well. It's one of the advantages that you get being in a kind of a new brokerage, where you get to be a piece of the growth. Imagine you started, Irene, when the bank that you worked for started up and you got an opportunity to be a shareholder, where would you be today? So I really liked the kind of ground floor opportunity that we have with our company because it allows anyone to really be a part of something much bigger and much more meaningful. In addition to the fact that there's a legacy program, which again, a lot of people say exists out there, but really doesn't until you really, have the legal documentation and you get the certificate and all that stuff. And so, I'm blessed to know now that myself and my family are going to be taken care of forever. It's really very, very unique. I've come to notice that there is a lot of misinformation and, talk about being a broker of anything is supposed to be able to use multiple products or services that fit the needs of the clients, right? Or the wants of the clients. And I noticed time and again that a lot of brokers are just using one product and one company for the sole reason that is kind of the biggest money maker for them. Okay. It's what makes them the most amount of money. And they're really, really good at selling it. They're really good at selling it. When we talk about insurance, there's one particular product, and it is sold as an insurance product, but primarily sold as an investment product. And that's just not the way insurance works. Okay. And it should not be offered like that. There's a very, very, very specific type of market that should be utilizing these services. On the other side, there is an organization that doesn't offer these types of products and services for maybe the high net worth and clients that have maxed out their TFSAs or RSPs. They just don't offer that. But the scary part is that if you just so happen to offer one of those products that has an insurance or an investment part in it, you're the devil. It's like, how do you sleep at night? And it's very, very sad because they are hurting a lot of people. There are a lot of parents that after they've maximized their RESPs, they want to do something for their kids or their grandkids. They can't do that, right? There are a lot of business owners that don't have TFSA and RSP contribution room, and they have to utilize the advantage of a permanent type product, and they just don't offer that. And not only do they not offer it, but they actually put them in something that is very bad for them and really, 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 makes them and their family pay a lot of tax. What I love about our organization is that we offer everything. We offer everything, and we ask the right questions from our clients, and we build holistic financial plans based on their needs and their wants. It's not like we're shoving a product or a service down their throat. We actually listen to our clients, and then we come with recommendations and options that are actually good for them. And we're not held back on the products and services that we can offer. So I know I kind of went off on a tangent there about myself and then into the industry, but I'm very passionate about it because I just, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach at heart. I used to coach soccer. I started a small soccer academy in my community. I was in teachers college, never became a teacher, unfortunately. Fortunately, actually, I should say. But I love educating people, and so that passion really comes out. But that's my spiel about myself.
That's great. Now you are born and bred pretty much with Experior, right? Okay, so now, but you have experienced agents of different agencies, MGAs and whatnot, general agencies. So here's my question to you. Okay, so you are a leader of your team, right? So you govern your team and try to train your team accordingly, right? To how you kind of want your business and how you want to help clients out.
Right.
Now, is that kind of the realm of Experior as a whole, or right? Because there are some agencies out there that don't have the same. Because the topic today again is the agency, the advisor, and the team, right? So how important is it that the team and your mentors within that team? How important is that?
It's very important. Look, put it this way: if you look at any successful organization, if you look at McDonald's, for example, okay, I worked at McDonald's when I was 15 years old, okay, and there was a very rigorous training program before I could even lift a tool to start making the food there. Okay, there was a rigorous safety program as well because you're hanging around ovens and oil and all that stuff, and it is the exact same protocols for every single store. If an employee now comes in there and says, I don't want to do it this way, I want to cook it a different way, guess what? They're going to be fired because they're going to disrupt the chain of events that need to happen in order to help the organization be successful as they are, right? Doesn't mean McDonald's doesn't change their ways. There's a lot of discussion right now about McDonald's changing their ways about food preparation and types of food that they use, which I think is amazing. But that's the upper management that's doing that through tests and, and trials and all that stuff. But you can't just go into a McDonald's or a fast food restaurant and say, I'm not going to cook it this way. I'm going to cook it a different way. You're going to get fired. When you have I'm a big soccer guy, right? When you have a team of 11 players that go onto the field, if one person doesn't do their job or thinks that they are going to do something else aside from what the coach wants them to do, the whole team is going to fall apart. It's going to cause a whole chain reaction of events, again, that ultimately is going to cause the team to lose. And so I think the most important thing with us is that we're all on the same page. And that mission is to essentially help every single person that we ever meet or come across or know and love. And that's one of the great things about our industry, guys, is that, anybody that we hang around with, whether we're going to Costco or any grocery store or whatever it is, there are people all around us so we can consistently help. So our industry is kind of recession proof. There's always people to help. And there's, about 40 million Canadians and 400 million Americans as well, tons of people. But it's about the mission. And I'll tell you, I'm I'm a bit of a hard ass. If you're not on the same page as myself, then you're not a team player and I can't help you, right? Everyone needs to be on the same page. Of course, I'm always open to suggestions on how we can help clients, how we can help the organization, how we can help the team, because any good leader should be like that, should be open to suggestions, but I'm very careful of how I implement those suggestions. So hopefully that answers your question.
Absolutely. Now, Irene, you were also a manager for a while, right? Like 20 years as a manager. So I'm sure you experienced that young alpha person coming into the bank and wanting to kind of run the show. How did that work out for those individuals, being a bank manager for so long?
I don't know. Like, I'm coming from a generation where it was the squeaky wheel. You know what I mean? Where if somebody showed up and they came in, kind of guns a blaring, wanted to be heard, if I could say it nicely, they just had to have the right words to say to be heard. And I mean, like I said, I come from a generation where it actually didn't really matter if you had the qualifications, the credibility, the even experience to be able to to deserve that position. I don't know if I've answered your question, but I find that and maybe it's not my generation, but I find that, without having to sound too negative, I still feel like a little bit that way. The leaders that I've seen, not just in the financial industry, but like even in other industries, where it's the one that has the better words to say, the charisma. And I feel like maybe we've been clouded by that for so long that we neglect to look at what's actually important, like the credibility behind, for instance, Dror's name, where he has, a few different acronyms there that could show somebody who was looking at a financial plan could see that Dror doesn't already have the charisma and the credibility, the experience, the years behind his experience, but he actually has proof that he has bettered himself by taking extra courses, getting different training, getting different credentials to make himself better. So I can appreciate him talking about loving to learn, but loving to teach. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we stayed in contact for so long, Dror, was because I could see the passion about how you wanted to help people in the financial industry. There are other parts to our business that I feel are equally important, but not necessarily should be the only thing. And maybe you can speak more to that, Dror, because we're going to get into a different conversation I feel is important for other people to see. Maybe you can speak a little bit too, and maybe you don't have to bring up the names, but a little bit to, the different companies out there and where Experior might outshine some of them in ways that people don't actually look at, may not even know.
So I do have to mention that the designations that I got were done a bit selfishly, to be honest. For two reasons. Reason number one is because being a business owner myself, a true business owner, when a lot of people say I'm an entrepreneur, well, no, you're kind of just a glorified self-employed worker. Okay, you don't own anything. It's not really yours. At Experior, it is. Okay, it's yours from day one, and I'll get a little bit into that. So being a business owner, and a person that thank God for this business, we're doing quite well now, and the goal is to continue to do better and help more families. I needed to learn how to take care of myself. I needed to learn how to plan for myself. So I needed to be a really good advisor to myself. I needed to know everything about everything, right? That's number one. Number two, selfishly, I wanted to be the best damn financial advisor any client ever comes across. I never wanted to be a person that was like, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I don't know what to do here, right? I don't have experience. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge. I'm sorry, I can't help you. I didn't want to be that person. I want to be that person. And this is what I tell my clients now. I want to be that person that anything with a dollar sign, I want you to come to me. So when you're ready to buy a house, come to me. When you're ready to buy a car, come to me. If you don't know what kind of credit card you want to get, come to me. Okay. You need protection, you need to invest, come to me. And it's a way of making my clients feel very safe and trustworthy as well, that they can come to me with anything. And that, in turn translates into business and referrals and kind of keeps the machine going. To touch on what you said, okay, and to kind of go back to what I said, here's really what I've seen sets Experior Financial Group apart from every other company out there. I will confidently say that. And if anyone wants to come and fight me about it, I will roll out the red carpet and have them come down. But the biggest thing is transparency. We just don't lie about our opportunity. Everything is upfront. There's never been a time myself and, my CEO that were like, oh, yeah, we can't show you that, or we don't have that. Okay. And we're actually, very proactive in saying, hey, let me send you this. Hey, take a look at this. Hey, let me know what you think. Whereas I've interviewed with a lot of companies because I'm very curious. And I said, can you send this to me? Can you explain this to me? Well, we're still finalizing this. Well, we're still working on it. Well, we don't really have a document for this. And I kind of asked myself, okay, so you're trying to bring me on, but you can't show me the opportunity. If I was interviewing for a job, you wouldn't have a contract to show me, an employment contract, right? I mean, let's just look at it as an employment opportunity. You got to be able to send me something. You got to be able to give me something that I can talk with my family over, right? And my team, because I don't go anywhere without my team. My team is everything. I'm nothing without my team. So that's the biggest thing, guys, is transparency. The other big thing is ownership. And there's kind of several prongs to ownership. Number one, as I mentioned, it's the ownership of your book of business. There are a lot of companies out there. I don't want to mention anyone. I mean, unless you guys really, really want me to, but there are a lot of companies that will say you own your book of business. And it's just flat out not true. It is a big fat lie. You own your book of business while you're at that company. Okay. But if for whatever reason you want to leave, you don't like your leader anymore, you got into it with your mentor, or whatever it is, or there's just a better opportunity out there for yourself and your family, you want to go. And as you should, because nobody else pays the bills for you. You got to pay the bills. So you got to do the utmost for your family. So if you want to leave, they say, no, you can't take your business with you. Well, I thought I owned my book of business. Well, yeah, you own it while you're here. That's like driving around in a Mercedes and only being able to sell the Mercedes back to Mercedes. What if I want to sell it on Auto Trader or Facebook Marketplace or myself? I don't want to have to go through the dealer, right? And so the unfortunate part is that people are just being lied and deceived, and I don't know why people do that, because if anything, that causes more animosity as opposed to saying, hey, thank you so much for being with us. If you really truly believe it's a better opportunity, God bless you. You got to take care of your family, right? The other prong to ownership, again, I mentioned it earlier, is you get to own a piece of Experior, and not just a certificate. You got to. No, it is a legal document that you receive that stipulates that you are now a shareholder of Experior Financial Group. That it's real. It's not just a certificate, because there's a lot of certificates floating around there. You're an owner now. Here, look, I didn't sign anything. No, it's okay, right? That's not real ownership. All right. And the third prong to ownership kind of veers off into legacy. Again, we have a true legacy program where, of course, you have to qualify to become a legacy owner, but your family doesn't. Okay. So it is stipulated, again, in a legal document, not just a certificate, where if something happens to me, okay, at the very least, 75% of every piece of passive income from my book of business or my organization will be paid to my family for 10 years. That is guaranteed. And if it continues to grow, then it goes up. Okay. And then we have our legacy program where, gold legacy is 75% will be paid for 10 years and then 25% for life, forever. And again, have to sign off on that because you have to name a beneficiary. Okay. That beneficiary does not need to be licensed. Family member, it could be, your close friend, it could be a dog, it doesn't matter. It could be an organization, it doesn't matter, right? The next level up is platinum, which I actually, thank God I just achieved, is 75% for 10 years and then 50% for life of all passive income from your organization. And the platinum plus is 75% for life. That's like an infinite built-in life insurance policy that your family and whoever gets to be named as a beneficiary will benefit from forever, as long as Experior Financial Group is around. And we're planning to be around for a very, very long time. We're not just a kind of flash in the pan type of company, or Jamie is going to sell sometime soon. No, he's like, I think 44, 45 years young, and he's got a lot of piss and vinegar still in him. And he's just, this is just we haven't even scratched the surface. right? So biggest thing, guys, is transparency and true ownership. I have not found that anywhere else, and I don't think I will. And it's one of the things I love about our organization is we don't lie. We're just very honest, and I think that's why we've attracted some really big names, and we got a lot of things cooking up that, you know, I'll just say it to the rest of the world and the rest of the industry. If you're not looking at Experior right now, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing.
You're using the word lie, and I know that a lot of agents that are maybe watching this podcast are probably like up in their seats right now with that word, right? Now, do you really feel like they're lying, or they've been lied to, or
Both.
you know what I mean? Both.
Both. I think they have been deceived, and I think that they are being deceiving. And do you know why? Because they're scared.
Elaborate on that.
So they are scared to tell people the truth. They're scared to tell people what's out there. Look, I've recruited hundreds of agents from a particular organization. I'm not going to name it. I don't want to badmouth anyone. I whenever I talk to people from this organization, I always say, look, I'm not badmouthing your organization. Your organization is fantastic. It's great. It's revolutionized the industry. It's the people within it. And that happens in every organization. Okay. You go to any big name store, there's nothing wrong with the name. It's the people within it. And I've experienced that many times, right? Whether it's at a grocery store or a clothing store or a computer store or whatever it is, I've had some bad experiences. That does not necessarily reflect the name of the company. But I have spoken to many advisors that don't want to say the name of the company. They're embarrassed. They're embarrassed of the name of the company. That's just very sad, and it's quite pathetic if you ask me, right? But a lot of these organizations keep blinders on their people. They specifically tell them, do not go and look elsewhere. You don't need to, you don't have to, you have the best opportunity out there. Well, best is all relative because there's companies out there that are for builders, right? Which I argue, if you're in financial services, you should be a financial associate, not a builder, okay? There's building opportunities, but you got to get good at your craft and you got to teach others how to be good at their craft before you can go out there and just bring a bunch of people on. You don't know what the heck you're doing, okay? I think it's really mixed up. In our organization, I'm gonna teach you how to be a financial associate first. Then if you want to build your team, I will help you, right? And I love that. I love that about our organization. So a lot of organizations keep the blinders on their people because they know exactly what's out there. They know there's a lot more compensation out there for their people. They know there's a lot more ownership and there's a lot more opportunity out there, but they're scared of losing their people. And I've had these the uplines of these people actually call me and specifically say, stop going after my people. I go, excuse me? What do you own? You think you own people? You don't own people. If you pay their bills, that's a different story. You don't own anyone. You have no right to tell me not to go after people. I think it's our God-given right to reach out to people and to tell them about an opportunity. It's up to them if they want to go. If they don't think it's better for them and their family, that's okay. But they at least deserve the right to know what else is out there. That's what I believe. And this is what I tell these people that are calling me. I go, if you really have the best opportunity, you ain't got nothing to worry about. If you're really a good mentor and a good coach, you ain't got nothing to worry. I don't have to worry about anything. I haven't had people leave me for a better opportunity. I know we have a really good opportunity, not the best company, because best is all relative. Because again, if you're a builder, there's a company for that. If you're a producer, there's a company for that. If you're both, Experior has the best combination of compensation for both producer and for builder. And I think for longevity as well, with ownership and legacy and all that stuff. But I don't call people from other organizations and say, hey, don't go after my people. There's this word that's thrown around, poaching. You're a poacher. I go, show me the legal agreement and the contract that says that I am not allowed to speak to people from your organization. Because if you can't show me that, then I ain't no poacher. And let me tell you something. These organizations that call us poachers, that's what they were built on. Because their founders actually did the exact same thing to their uplines from other organizations. Every single one of these people were poached from other industries. They've been chefs, they've been tow truck drivers, they've been IT professionals. Were they not poached? Were they not approached one time with an opportunity to change their lives? What do you call that? I'm reaching out to people with an opportunity to change their lives. Whether you're at the very bottom, right, and maybe you just started, or you're not doing too well, and a change of a team, change of a coach or scenery would do better for you, or whether you're a seasoned professional, and you're making $1 million or $2 million in the industry and whatever, and you've been there for 20, 25 years. It doesn't matter, right? Everyone deserves an opportunity to do better for themselves and their families, right? So, like I said, a lot of these organizations keep blinders on their people, and I just don't think that's fair. I don't put blinders on anyone. You guys want to go, you want to search a better opportunity. Hey, God bless you. I don't pay your bills. You got to do what's good for your family, right?
I find that really interesting that you've been kind of approached by other agencies, and that being said to you, because of the fact that, I mean, realistically, an employee anywhere is usually looking for another job opportunity, that's going to better serve them, right? And if that opportunity falls on their lap, they're going, right? I really liked what you said there in regards to if they're on a good team already, and if they have the good mentorship and the leadership, and everything is kind of flowing in their business, they're not even going to consider what you have to say because they're happy, right?
That's right.
That is now reflecting, and I want to reflect this to the clients that are watching this podcast. If you've got an advisor that's doing everything, like Dror was saying, taking care of you, and you have a one-stop shop with that advisor, you're not going to, you are going to get probably approached by another advisor, but you're not going to consider it because of the fact that your advisor is treating you really, really well. And why would you consider doing anything else? So everything that you just said, that's not only reflective of agents out there that are maybe watching this podcast, trying to get ideas about the business or things of that nature, but also the clients that are out there. You need to find that advisor, that mentor, or whatever that is going to be that one-stop shop for you. And
Phil, I'm going to say something, very, very, very bold. I invite my clients to get a second opinion. I say, go get a second opinion. Guaranteed you won't find anything better, but go. I'm not stopping you. I've never had a client come back and say, Dror, I found something better. Sorry, I lied. I have. Once she came to me, young client, was actually referred to me by very trustworthy source. Okay. Came to me about a year later and said, Dror, I kind of felt like she was breaking up with me. It was really weird. But she's like, Dror, you're a really nice guy and I really like you and I think you're great. And I go, are you breaking up with me? She goes, I met with another advisor and he showed me a different plan and I think I'm going to go with them. I go, okay, well, tell me about the plan, and I'm only asking because I care about you, right? Because I know there is a lot of deception out there. Tell me a little bit about your plan. I don't know if I want to. I go, why? I want to know if it's better for you because I care about you. And I also care about the source that referred you to me, right? It's very important to me. I got into this because I care about people. She goes, okay, I'll send it to you. She sends it to me. And guys, it was awful. It was terrible. I'm not just saying that because I was afraid of losing the business. Okay. That's not why. It was a terrible plan and she was lied to. And I felt so bad for her. I go, listen, I'm going to talk to you like I'm your brother. This is not good for you. This is not good for you. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I don't even care about the commissions. I really don't. This is not good for you. And for XYZ reasons, please think twice about this. And I'm happy to help you. Well, my mom referred me to them and I have to go with them. No, you don't. No, you don't. You have to do what's right for you. Anyway, unfortunately, she canceled her plan with me and she went with this other advisor. And I feel for her because she's been taken advantage of. And I can't stand that. I can't take that. That's like one thing that irks me inside. I cannot see people being taken advantage of and lied to and deceived. It eats me up inside and I get really, really passionate when I see that happen. It should not happen in our industry. And that's why a lot of organizations, again, and our us as financial advisors, we sometimes get a bad rap because of these other people that sell, dare I say, bullshit products. Because they're just looking out for their own paycheck. And it shouldn't be like that. If you do good work for people, that will translate into a good paycheck. But if you deceive people, truth always comes out one day or another. So I just had to kind of throw that in there because I think it's important to understand that.
Yeah, now, I personally, my point of view, I don't want to use the term bullshit products because I think that every product has its place,
Agreed.
right? It's just how they're being used. That's
Agreed.
The problem. And sometimes it's the advisor's fault. Sometimes it's the advisor's capability capabilities because of where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And some advisors just don't have a choice. They only have this to do. Right. And if they want to make money, they're going to, and use this term earlier, they're going to sell you this product.
Sure.
An advisor should never have to sell anything. A real advisor should never have to sell anything. It should just flow with your goals, your dreams, and what you're trying to achieve. And it should just all flow together and blend in.
That's right.
Am I correct in saying this?
I always say there are no bad products, there's just bad service. Because you're right, there are no bad products in our industry. There really isn't. If there was, the regulators would eliminate them. Okay. So you're right, there are no bad products. Even these companies that offer one product and one product alone, it's not a bad product, but it is, like you said, the way it's being sold. And like, imagine, everybody only drove around in one particular car, okay? Or there was a one size fits all shoe. Well, I'm a size 12, you're a size whatever, Irene's another size. Like, we're all going to wear the same shoe. My foot's different, her foot's different. That doesn't make sense. Why is that happening in our industry? I have different needs from you, and I have different needs from Irene, and we should all be built our own holistic, customized plan, not one product for every man, woman, and child. That's in both of these organizations. Okay, is there's one product here and then there's one product here, and they both kind of shit on one another. Right? One does this and one does that. Whereas Experior comes in the middle and says, well, we offer both, and we offer it to the right person. And again, I use the term very strongly. We offer it to the client. We don't sell it. If I feel like I'm selling something to my client, I rip up the illustration and I'm out. I go, listen, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want you walking out of my office thinking, what did George just sell me? I don't, what? Like, I need you to be able to explain it to your friends and family so that you don't feel like you've been deceived or sold, right?
I think that's super important what you said. I wanted to kind of like chime in when you were talking about that plan that you saw that was terrible. And unfortunately, in one of my experiences in the same organization, I had built a plan for a young guy. We talked about his budget, making sure what I had for him made sense to him. He even joined my team. And then he had somebody from the same organization who happened to be the friend of his parents sell him the opposite, which brought his payment from $70. Remember, this guy's a student, young guy, $70 to $400 a month. And it was so clear what this person was trying to do. And it didn't make any sense. And he was an advisor of mine. So he was already learning stuff from me. And somehow, again, very impressionable. And I'm sure he felt a little bit of push because it's his dad's friend who's, respectable. He probably felt pushed into getting this fantastic, holistic, retirement on drugs plan, basically. And it was really disheartening because this person came from the same organization. There was no conversation with what he did. And even when I had a conversation, because I initiated a conversation with this other advisor, again, part of the same organization, not the same team, but a different province altogether. I had to have a conversation with him, say, what was going on here? What was kind of, do you have like a needs analysis? And, kind of like skirting around the issue of that about what he actually really did for him. That almost opened up my eyes to the fact that I'm different. And I'm different. I have to continue being different. And I, truly have a mission that I need to help. Not like the people that don't have plans in the first place, but some of the people that have plans with other advisors. And I think it was so important for me when I met with you, Dror, that you had not just the clout, the credibility, the knowledge, the education around the financial industry, but you actually had the heart. And in meeting one, you showed me that. In meeting one, you showed me that, which again created the seed of doubt in my mind about, loyalty is great. And for those of you guys kind of watching this, and I feel like it needs to be said, loyalty is great. And no one's a bad person. No one's bad. No one's doing it. I would almost say not intentional, some of them or most of them. But you owe it to yourself and why you're doing this in the first place. If you are an advisor just learning the ropes, you owe it to yourself and your family, who you're still trying to prove that this is the way to go. Because I know there's a lot of you out there that you're actually doing what you signed up to do, which is help people in the financial industry.
Right.
And yes, to build on that, you can. That's absolutely embedded in this business. But wouldn't it be nice if you knew what you were building and the people that surrounded you and helped you build this, and you continue to build, you actually knew what you were doing. So thank you for sharing that story about that lady's plan, and good on you for being transparent with how you felt. I mean, yeah, you didn't necessarily have lots to lose, but you kind of had your integrity if you didn't say anything, right? And
Yeah.
I admire that in a really, really big way. I mean, if you had like, and I don't know if Phil has other questions that will kind of like surround this, but one of the things that I really feel is important out there is when you talk about Experior, besides all the differences, the main difference being transparency, a lot of one of the things that other organizations might say is the fact that, they haven't been around for very long. And I'm sure there's other companies that have spawned off other bigger companies now that have found ways of doing it better. What is kind of your answer to that? Because I think that's a real concern for people. Like, you haven't been around for that long. You're kind of just figuring things out. I think there's another side to that. And I feel like you can answer that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we haven't been around for a long time, but the companies that we work with have. You have companies, like Manulife and Beneva and Empire and Desjardins. Some of them are publicly traded 143-year-old companies that have been around for a long time. And because we own our book of business, if something, whatever, happens to Experior, I always say this, we can take our business to a different organization and nothing happens because we have codes with all of these individual companies. A lot of people are like, well, who owns Experior Financial Group? Well, it's Jamie and Leanne Prickett and the shareholders, ourselves. Well, what if they sell? Well, what if your company sells? Well, what happens there? It's the same thing, right? What if your CEO and founder goes off and spends $50 million of your company's money, which happened many years ago, by the way, right? What if that happens and your company almost goes under? What do you do, right? Well, that's not going to happen. Well, says who, right? What's the guarantee on that? And so, and this is on the client side also. Well, Experior hasn't been around for a long time. Well, yeah, but these companies that we work with have. We are a brokerage. We don't offer our own products and services. We offer and broker out to other companies that have been around for a long, long, long time. Clients ask me, Dror, what if something happens to Experior? What do we stay as your clients? Yes, you do. I own my book of business. There's a contract for that. It's called the AOA, the Advisor Ownership Agreement, which specifically stipulates in one of the points, we own our book of business. It's funny, Irene, because in all these other organizations that I have seen the contracts, it specifically says you do not own your book of business. And I go, did you not see that little? It's like right there in writing. You do not have any proprietary interest in your book of business. And they're like, oh, well, that's okay. No, it's not. You've been lied to, right? I have the contract, right? So it's a very valid question, but we have this safety net that we can just take our business and take our teams if they choose to follow and go to another organization or start your own thing or, whatever you want to do. But when we actually, open the hood and show who Experior is and what this is all about, we're not going anywhere. We ain't going anywhere. Like I said, we're just scratching the surface. And yes, it was scary at the beginning, and that's part of being a startup, right? Like in the first, I would say, 3 to 5 years, you're getting the ball rolling. Yeah, it's a scary thing, right? But I would rather take that risk because I believe in myself and my team that if something, God forbid, happens to Experior, which again, this is not even close, we just go to another organization. What's the worst case that can happen, right? But it's the exact same question of what happens to all the other organizations out there. Again, I won't name them, but we're not immune. Nobody is immune to change, right? Or if the CEO dies or, and in a particular organization, there's been multiple CEOs, again and again and again, and, field chairman or whatever it is, like, what if these guys leave? There's a whole other topic that I can get into about this organization, but I don't want to rock any boats right now. It's our first interview after all. So,
That's too funny. You know, I find that really interesting, actually, and a very valid point to what you said, Irene, because it's not the agency that the client should be concerned about. Again, it's the advisor, because the advisor in this agency actually is connected to the provider directly, where in other agencies, the advisor is connected only to the agents, and the agency is then connected to the providers, right? Which is a different interaction altogether, right? So that's really key. That means the advisor actually can advise you based off of the providers that you are investing with, where the other advisor can only advise you based off of what the agency is allowing you to provide, to advise based off of what the providers can give, right? So there's a huge difference there, right? For you as the client who are watching this podcast. That's a very valid and interesting point. I really like that. Does that answer your question, Irene? Like that, does that answer your question as to how some, an agent who's looking maybe at Experior or something like Experior, does that answer your question to the differences of what they should be?
I think there's a lot of watchers out there and viewers and connections that I have that probably would have this question. I mean, when I decided to change organizations, and by the way, I wanted to bring this up, I did have the last organization poach me from the bank. So they poached me from the bank.
Poachers.
And so they did the same thing, right? So, I mean, let's just put it out there. I left the bank, and it's not that was the first time. I've had many people from that organization try to recruit me. And there was one, again, very much memorable, and it made sense to me at the time, and it was perfect, which is why I stayed loyal for so long. That made sense for me at the time. And then just over time, a change needed to be made. Hence, I'm in front of Dror. Hence, Bill's here with us as well. I guess at the end of the day, it's really who you trust, and if you trust somebody because they align with your goal, right? They understand your goals, they're empathetic, and they practice what they preach, like they know what they're saying and they actually demonstrate it. That's where you're going to find the most trust, and that goes with clients as well. And I'm so grateful that making the change with the clients that I've been able to help trusted me enough to follow me. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't one of those things where, the last organization said, yeah, no, that's your book of business. And that's kind of what they've said. No, I actually just determined, including myself, who's a client of that previous organization. We all got an email yesterday and today that my new advisor is somebody else. So there's proof that no, it belonged to that organization. No, actually, these clients are going to follow me because I help them with all these different 100-year companies that I still have the ability to leverage for my clients. So it's not, like you said, the agency, Phil, like it is absolutely the person that you're working with. And I'm just so grateful my clients have the trust in me to make the right decisions for not just myself, but to also, bring them over with me.
Yeah, as advisors, all three of us, I can say one thing that I see consistently amongst the three of us is we are all very passionate about what we do. And I think because of that, we could probably talk about this kind of stuff forever.
Yes.
So I don't want to keep you viewers on here for too long. So I just want to wrap this up and thank Dror for joining us in this podcast. And you're welcome anytime, my friend. Anytime you want to join us, you are 100% welcome to join us for our podcast. And again, and if you are a watcher of our podcast and you're either an agent or someone who wants to inquire about this industry, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll put our contact information into the description of this podcast. That way, if you need to reach out to us, you're more than welcome to. Or if you're a client who's looking for, I'm going to use this term, neutral advice, right? Again, feel free to reach out to us, and we will give you that advice and see if we can build your confidence in what we do as a profession.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us today, and thank you, Dror, for joining us.
Yeah, it was an honor and a pleasure, and it was a lot of fun, and we should definitely do it again.
Yeah, we should.
Take care, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.